So I want to talk to the good guys for a second. You know the good guys. I'm a black activist. I'm working on the behalf of women. I'm doing this for immigrants, gays and lesbians alike. We've often allied. We've often helped each other. We've often fought the same masters for basic rights. But be warned that once you become in power, to use government as a bludgeon is as evil as the masters before you.
This is a certified hood classic.
Sakafed. What's up to all my beautiful people from all corners of the world? Welcome to Culture Invasion Podcast. This is your man's Culture speaking, and this is what's on my radar. First of all, I want to shout out Killer Mike. If you don't know who he is, go watch the full video in the description. Educate yourself. All right. Thank me later. And shout out to the FIRE Foundation. That's the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression. They are the source of the video from the intro. So definitely go check them out. Their link is also in the description. So why I'm here today is because one of the biggest gaming franchises in the world just dropped their new entry into a series, Final Fantasy XVI, and this one looks to be a banger. More action-based than true turn-based RPG. No argument from me. I've played multiple different iterations of Final Fantasy for years and cherished my experience as a gamer, but no game's perfect, but it's captured my imagination for the brief moments of time. I've allowed myself the distraction and allowed myself to engage. Some really, really great games out there. But with all new media releases come cheers, come jeers, right? Anything consumable in today's media that doesn't fit a narrative or swing the voiced narrative too far into the left field, it's frowned upon. And it ends up being canceled, protested, or review bombed. I mean, it's just what's going on today. And unfortunately, it looks like the SJW types are running their mouths again needlessly over the new Final Fantasy. I mean, it's a fictional, imagined universe, as with most of the things that I see out here relating to like game media and protests and review bombings, and then I see the game studios with this trend of equity and inclusion and swinging the pendulum way off in the left field somewhere to where they ostracize themselves, go woke, go broke, But that goes without saying, so let's get into this with fiction, right? Fiction, as defined by Webster's and Oxford. I did my research. I went to both dictionaries. I just wanted to verify that, the definition still stood for what the word is and that the meanings haven't changed based on feelings. But I digress. So fiction, as defined, is literature in the form of prose that describes imaginary events or people. Imaginary events or people. Second definition, something that is invented or untrue. Imaginary, invented, or untrue. So with that, I'm going to read a little bit here for you. I'm going to go over this quick article highlighting the insanity of these so-called social justice warriors. And then I'm going to read a few excerpts from an article highlighting the response from its creator. I'm going to cook my opinion over this a little bit with y'all. And then I want your opinion in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. After all, look, perspective in a dialogue is important. So if you have thoughts and fifis about this, let me know. All right, to start off with, here's why some players plan to boycott Final Fantasy XVI. News by Vicky Blake, contributor. And this was published the 17th of June this year. Some Final Fantasy players have revealed they plan to boycott Final Fantasy XVI due to the development team's continuously questionable response to the lack of diversity in the game. Again, it's an imaginary game, invented or untrue. Last November, producer Naoki Yoshida addressed the lack of diversity in an interview, and the response did little to assuage the concerns of black and minority ethnic players. In a direct response to this, some players are now planning to boycott Final Fantasy XVI due to lack of diversity in minority characters. So she goes on to basically quote a lot of individuals who are voicing their opinion against the game. One reviewer posted a poll to collate commenters' views. So despite notable criticism and backlash online regarding the lack of diversity in the game and Square's continuously questionable response to the topic, it seems a lot of people are still planning to purchase it. Began one poster adding a poll to collate commenters' views. All right, so fast forward. However, at the time of writing, over 1,200 players have responded to the poll, but just 2.9%, that's around 40 people, are intending to intentionally boycott the release, with a 72.8% still committed to buying it despite its issues. Two last comments here. When asked if they will be boycotting Final Fantasy XVI, the respondent said, "No, if I boycotted games due to the lack of diversity in terms of characters that look like me, I wouldn't have shit to play outside of a few indies at best, to put it very bluntly. Representation for black women in gaming is abysmal across the board, and I would say it's even worse for South Asian women and South American women, etc., etc." Okay, I can agree with that. As far as main characters are concerned, but that's systemic across all media. You can look at the catalog that is Hollywood, and you can take the first few decades of just movie poster covers, just movie posters, and you can definitely see when actors like Sidney Poitier first came on the scene. I'll put it to you that way. All right. So this last person here commented, since the very first time I started playing games before the age of 5, I played games based on if they were fun or not. 30 some years later, this has not changed, added another. Coming from a black person, if you want to boycott, go for it. But I'm there from day one, as I personally will be, right? As soon as this drops on the PC, I'll be swooping it up. Here's the thing. This gentleman or lady, this respondent, 30 some years later, this has not changed. I play games based on if they are fun or not. When I first was exposed to computers, I was about, I'm kicking 50 in the door right now, but I was about 6 or 7 when I was first exposed to the Apple II computer. And the first games I had on there, the first programs I had on there were all educational. I didn't have any games. And then, my father worked it out. He got, that's back in the day, the sneaker net and the BBSs. And that's the days of, the pirates running rampant. So, every few days, every few months, Dad would get a little stack of discs, those 5 1/4 floppies, and I would get all kinds of new games, Pitfall, Asteroids, Jumpman. None of these characters had ethnicities I had to worry about. They were pixels. They were pixelated. My imagination is what drove me to finish these games. My imagination is what I embraced while playing these games and putting myself in the position of the hero. And I'm going to say that is what's lacking in a lot of people. You're not going to tell me that you picked up the book Harry Potter and immediately knew everything that was going on about everybody's ethnicities. And I saw the backlash about that when the movies came out. You're not going to tell me that your imagination gets away with you and you worry about ethnicities when you read a book. Like, that's the first thing that's going to, my first piece of imagination is going to put just me. I know what I look like. I don't care about how the character's written, from what ethnicity they are. If it's an adventure that I'm getting into, either in a book, a fictional book, or in a video game, I'm putting myself in the character's place. Who they are on the screen or who they are on text, in the book, is irrelevant. If I become that immersed, it's me. So for you to lack imagination, and for you to stand and protest, the 1 to 3% of you, that there's not enough diversity and inclusion, and it's maddening. This is fiction. This is imaginary. This is invented. It's untrue. And any creator has their right to express themselves how they feel fit. Going forward, this article, published the 9th of November 2022 by Ed Nightingale. Shout out to Eurogamer, by the way. They're the source of all this information. So we got Ed here reporting from Yoshida-san. Again, Naoki Yoshida, one of the game's main creators, comments as such. Ultimately, we felt that while incorporating ethnic diversity into Valisthea was important, an over-incorporation into the single corner of a much larger world could end up causing a violation of those narrative boundaries we originally set for ourselves. So they created a set of narrative boundaries. They had a plan in place. They already knew what they were doing. Okay, and it's not like the Final Fantasy series haven't had multiple ethnicities in the past. The story we are telling is fantasy, yes, but it is also rooted in reality. Further, it can be challenging to assign distinctive ethnicities to either antagonist or protagonist without triggering audience preconceptions, inviting unwarranted speculation, and ultimately stoking flames of controversy. Triggered! Y'all triggered yet? So who's the bad guy? In your diverse and equitable universe, who's the bad guy? Or are we going to rewrite villains as these token bad guys who are just misunderstood? Is that what we're going to operate under? The auspice that we're going to operate under? I'm asking the SJWs. I'm asking those who are more educated in diversity, equity, and inclusion than myself, even though I've been part of many committees. But go ahead, educate me on how black man bad, white man bad is going to change your opinion, or rather flame your opinion and flame controversy behind who is chosen as either antagonist or protagonist. Yoshida-san goes on to say, in the end, we simply want the focus to be less on the outward appearance of our characters and more on who they are as people. The outward appearance, they want less on the outward appearance. They want to focus less on the outward appearance and more on the character of who they are as people. That sounds like a famous black activist who was murdered. I can't put my finger on it. I'll let you comment. People who are complex and diverse in their natures, backgrounds, beliefs, personalities, and motivations. People whose stories we can resonate with. There is diversity in Valisthea, diversity that, while not all-encompassing, is synergistic with the setting we've created and is true to the inspirations from which we are drawing. Fun fact. Upon watching a few reviews of the game, I found out that there's a very, very strict class division between certain groups in Valisthea. And there are individuals who are, for lack of a better word, so-called slaves to other individuals and ruling parties. I would love to have seen more diversity in this game. Believe you me. I would love to have seen more diversity just because they're putting so-called slavery in it. And I would love to see what their perspective of that would have been, and then what ultimate flames of controversy would have been generated by the social justice warriors. Because slavery, right? Black slaves? Is that what you guys would want? Or white slaves? My suggestion, go play the game, enjoy yourself, immerse yourself in fantasy, immerse yourself in your imagination, use your mind to take you outside of yourself and your ridiculous little machinations and position in life. In closing, I think the intro video pretty much summed up my thoughts. Killer Mike remains undefeated in his eloquence, expression, and activism. But what are your thoughts, right? Comment section down below, hit it up, leave a like, subscribe, ring the bell. All the engagement matters. All the engagement helps the channel, helps me, help you, get you more info and culture, knowledge, and entertainment. And again, your dialogue is important. Voice your thoughts. Be well and big up yourselves. Peace.